Welcome to another episode of the Team Check-In. I'm your host Emre, with Jack the puppy sleeping right next to me as always. Now, I have to warn you beforehand, especially those of you who are listening to us with headphones on. When he's sleeping this deep and when he's dreaming, he does tend to wake up barking and yelping. I don't know what's going on in his little head, but he does have a lot of nightmares. So, if he just jumps in with barks and yelps, you've been warned. It happens. But today, we're not talking Jack. We're not talking Jack the whole time. Is that the next episode? Sure. But today we're talking people strategy, what it is, how it compares to HR strategy, how you can build your own people strategy, and we're answering the question, do you really need a people strategy? Spoilers, yes, you do. But without further ado, let's dive right into this one. Now, the shift from HR to people and culture, that has been going on for some time, right? Some people might treat it like a 2023 thing, but no, it has been going on for a while, but it has certainly become more and more popular throughout this year. And maybe 2024 we lose the word HR completely. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but that seems to be the direction everything is heading. Because there are some dramatic changes happening in recruiting people and culture in HR, right? People have been recruiting Gen Z employees for some time now, and as we've discussed on a previous episode of the podcast, the whole dynamics of employee loyalty has shifted. Employee loyalty, as we know it, is dead, and we have a new, modern, a more altered and updated version of employee loyalty alive and well. And last year, all we could talk about was quiet quitting, and we're suddenly pretending that it's not an issue anymore. People have just stopped talking about it, but it is what it is. It is still going strong. So all organizations are trying to build or hold a more people-oriented approach in their strategies now. So that is why I wanted to talk about people strategy on this episode of the podcast, a topic that's not only crucial, but is also fascinating in the modern workplace setting. So what exactly is people strategy? Well, in a nutshell, a people strategy is all about creating a well thought out plan to manage the talent within your company. Creating a well-structured people strategy comes with various aspects like talent acquisition, employee development, performance management, and just fostering and empowering work culture overall. Some people might see it as like their secret weapon, the ace up their sleeve, while they're trying to build strong and engaged teams. To the question we asked in the beginning of the show, do you really need a people strategy? Well, the real question is, if you don't have it, why don't you still have one? It is key. Now, you might wonder why having a people strategy is crucial in the first place. Well, your people are the backbone of your organization, right? Your employees are the ones who drive innovation, deliver exceptional customer experiences, and ultimately shape your company's success. So people strategies are not just about having a bunch of skilled employees on board. They're about using their talent and aspirations to reach company goals and help them develop professionally. So, Lawrence Bossidy, I think, the former CEO of Allied Signal, he has this line. He said, "I'm convinced that nothing we do is more important than hiring and developing people. At the end of the day, you bet on people, not on strategies." So that might not be the perfect quote for a piece on people strategies, but I think that is a great segue to the difference between people strategy and HR strategy, right? Because people strategies are more volatile. They are more complex than all the other types of strategies that you might implement in other departments. So at the end of the day, as you hold a more human-focused approach and stop seeing open positions as just spaces to fill, you'll just have the basis for your people strategy. And as we keep going into, like, we've discussed AI in previous episodes of the show, we are moving towards a direction where we are losing the human element, especially sadly in human resources or people and culture, right? So, working on your people strategy and building these people strategies just might be the answer to this terrible situation of the fact that we are losing the human element, especially with the advent of AI. Now, a big part of this conversation on people strategy is, so how is people strategy any different than HR strategy, right? And we touched on like the people and culture replacing HR in like the beginning of this conversation. So let's talk about the difference between HR and people strategy, right? Because although they might sound like the same thing, people strategy and HR strategy are not two interchangeable terms. Because at its core, people strategies focus on the holistic management of talent and human capital within an organization. A well-defined people strategy goes beyond traditional HR procedures and emphasizes like the development of a positive company culture, talent acquisition, talent development, employee engagement, and even succession planning. On the other hand, right, we can say that the HR strategy is a subset of the broader people strategy. Right? While people strategy deals with the overall alignment of talent within a company with its vision, HR strategy prioritizes practices related to human resources management. So, HR strategy dives deep into areas like compensation, benefits, employee performance management, training, development programs, and compliance with employee performance evaluation laws and regulations. So, what's the difference? Well, they're very close, but if we had to make a more bullet point list, HR strategies usually include hiring, payroll, compensation plans, compliance, organizational charts, employee files and documents, and all that. While people strategies include diversity and inclusion strategies or employee development plans, team building activities, company culture, cross functional team management, all the fun stuff. Right. So we can't talk about people strategies, what it is, what it isn't, how it's different from HR, where everything is going. We can't talk about this without actually going into how you can build a people strategy. Because, yeah, then, because we wouldn't be giving you any real pointers. So, how to build a people strategy? Building an effective people strategy is definitely not a one person job. It's a process in which you should work collaboratively with your people and culture team, C levels, team leaders, everyone. So, we are aware that not every organization needs complex strategies for managing people, but almost all good people strategies have a few common components. That being said, the way you build your people strategy should depend heavily on your people. You're the one who knows them. You're the one who knows what they respond to the better. So, while the list we provide here are helpful, and all these tips are helpful, you should take them and shape them according to your organization. So, what are some of the steps to building a people strategy? Well, the first step is to see where you are at the beginning. Right? Before you set off on a new journey, you need to know where you stand in the first place. Start by evaluating your current HR practices, policies, and procedures. This way, you can see what's working well and where there might be room for improvement. So take a closer look at talent acquisition, employee onboarding, training programs, performance management, and employee engagement initiatives, and other HR related areas. If you have a feedback program already in place, this is a great place to now analyze those overall feedback responses from your employees. And then the second thing you should do is to align your organizational goals with the people strategy you're planning on building. To align your people strategy effectively throughout your organization, you need to have a clear understanding of your strategic objectives. What are you trying to achieve with the strategy? What is the end goal? So collaborate with people from all levels of your organization, including top level management and department heads, to create your company's long-term vision, short-term targets, and growth plans. So, for example, if expanding into new markets is a key goal for your organization, talent acquisition and onboarding strategies to attract local talent and building culturally diverse teams becomes essential. Those should become your new people strategies. So similarly, if innovation is a priority, focus on employee development programs to nurture creativity and enhance skills. So, okay, if there's a third step, it should be to gather feedback regularly, right? The importance of feedback in the workplace is non negotiable. No one knows employee experience better than the employees themselves. That's why, in order to build a successful people strategy, you need to collect regular employee feedback. Not all the initiatives you set in the start will work through the whole process, and collecting feedback will give you the information on which ones are working and which ones are not. And I think the And I think the last and most important step in all of this is to observe and reevaluate. Right? People strategy is not something you can set and forget. You need to reevaluate and analyze data you got from the feedback you collected throughout the process from employees and managers, and study that feedback. Right? A PwC study also mentions that although 80% of CEOs think that data analytics is an important part of their strategy, only 46% of them use the data from data analytics. So, as you're implementing your people strategy, once it has already been set afoot, that is where you become extra vigilant. You don't just let it go on, right? You have to constantly look back, observe, and reevaluate. So, we've talked about people strategies, how we create them, what do they even mean. Now, I want to give an example of a great people strategy, and it is about Spotify, the home of this very podcast. So, as Spotify, as one of the industry giants in music, Spotify has a people first approach to their strategy, with purpose being equally important. Spotify's people team encourages continuous growth and development for their employees with a shared vision and mission. Spotify's people strategy is based on four essential pillars, right? Attracting talent, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, learning and development, and growth. And once you base your people strategy for on foundations so strong as these ones, then you can't really go wrong. But that about wraps it up for this episode. If you have any interesting ideas on implementing people strategies, never hesitate to reach us out at Teamflect on all of our social media. We are at Teamflect on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we love hearing from you. And your opinions really matter to us, and we love discussing these with you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe. It really helps the show out. You can go to the Teamflect blog and read yourself some articles. And if you're looking for a great performance management software for Microsoft Teams, you can schedule a free demo with Teamflect using the link in the description. Have a great day.